My name is Paul Ferreira.
And I'm Tim Gernstein.
My name's Orestia Damasi. I'm a gay Canadian. That's just what I say. It's what I identify as.
Well, I'm actually the one who proposed to Paul, and the reason I decided that I was going to do it is after we had been going out for about 9 months, I figured, well, I knew that I didn't want anyone else to be with anyone else, and
That I'm a good catch.
Yes, you were a very good catch, and I had the engagement ring in my pocket, and Paul had said to me that I had glitter all over my face. And we had just
That's
gone.
right, I remember that.
We had just gone through FAO Schwartz, and I had
That's
been
right.
trying to decide when I was going to propose to him. And when he said that I had glitter on my face, I'm like, well, maybe I touched something in FAO Schwartz. And wait a second. Oh, I have something glittery in my pocket. Let me get it out. And then I started shaking.
My family would like me to get married, but they're. Let me try that again. One sec, let me think how to answer that. Because my parents don't know I'm gay.
Oh, they don't?
They don't. So they want me to get married, but they want me to get married to a man, obviously. And I'm like, I'm not going to get married. They don't really question it, though, so I don't know how to answer.
How come you haven't told your parents that you're gay?
It's more just that my mom's a little bit traditional, even though she's a very non-traditional person, and stuff like marriage and relationships and stuff, she can be surprisingly old-fashioned, and so she just thinks everyone's straight and they should be straight. It's kind of unreasonable of her, but it's kind of just how she is.
It's the exact same thing. The difference is civil unions are not always equal to marriage. That's the difference. But the actual ceremony itself is the same.
And in my view, it's a recognition of the love between two people, all the same. In one case, it's called marriage. In another case, it's called something else, a civil union. But it represents that love between two people, much in the way that marriage does. And a civil union is also it's a legal relationship as well, much like marriage is. So I think there are a lot of similarities between the two, and I realize you're probably going to ask us about our reaction to what's happening in New Zealand. But in my mind, there isn't that as big a difference as some folks make it out to be. In many ways, you could say that the civil union is the state-sponsored, the state-sanctioned equivalent of marriage, which is a much more traditional, religiously based institution. But my own personal opinion is I'm perfectly okay with a civil union. It doesn't have to be, for me, it doesn't have to be a marriage. It's not that one signifies more than the other. We might disagree on that.
Yes and no. I mean, if a civil union actually affords all the same rights as a marriage, for example, adoption rights, then it's this, to me it's the same thing, and I don't care what word is used. However, in the case of New Zealand, where adoption isn't allowed, then that's a problem, because then it really is two separate things.
Well, living in a country like Canada where same-sex marriage is legal is fantastic. I mean, there are very few countries in the world that can say that, and for a North American country that is right beside the States, which is one of the most conservative countries in the world, to say that they're, first of all, proud to have same-sex marriage and to be a great example for the rest of the world is amazing, and I'm very lucky.
I think we're better off in Canada, in North America, but certainly it's not the same thing around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think struggle makes us stronger, but I don't want to struggle anymore. So I would like to see things happen sooner rather than later, because they've been going on long enough. I guess when I think, though, that there are countries like Canada and like Spain that have same-sex marriage, pretty progressive countries, I don't know about economics, but well-off countries, I don't understand why other similar countries aren't following suit, and it does bother me. I think that government really has no rights in the bedrooms, and by not allowing same-sex marriage, it's like they're still in our bedrooms. And I can't understand how, like in the States, you know, where people are always talking about too much government interference, why they're allowing government interference in that area. It's really a contradiction that I don't quite understand.
It's a shame that there are still countries and cultures which just don't accept it at all, and obviously that would make me feel uncomfortable if I was ever there. So it would definitely hinder where I was to go if I wanted to live somewhere, and you know, me feeling as if I'm not an equal and I'm not treated like an equal would definitely, you know, affect my happiness there, you know, affect how comfortable I feel in the place.
I think that gay marriage is not the most pressing issue for gays and lesbians and transgendered and transsexual and bisexual people, but I think that it is the one issue that once it's addressed, the others start to fall into place because, again, like I said, it legitimizes the relationship. And when you say that when you're legally allowed to be married and get all the same rights as your heterosexual counterparts, it's also sending a message that you deserve to be treated in your everyday life, not just in your married life, in your everyday work life, school life, walking down the street life. You deserve to be treated the same as everyone else without fear of being bashed or fired or anything like that.
I think whether or not a place is, you know, accepts and you know, recognizes same-sex marriage is a really important thing for me. I mean, there are countries like Iran where my parents are from, and there it is, you know, it's illegal. It's for, like, you get arrested for being gay. So
I feel immensely fortunate to live in a country that has taken these steps. We're much further along than many other places, and as I say, I wish every other gay and lesbian couple lived in a place such as this, where we have these rights ingrained and enshrined in our Constitution. So it makes me incredibly proud to be a Canadian, to be a gay Canadian. There's a certain sense of security. You know, you don't have to. In some places, you worry about being dragged out of bed in the middle of the night and being put in prison. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine what it's like to live under those kind of circumstances.
When I graduated from university and I was thinking about going somewhere else to work, one of the reasons I decided not to was because I didn't want to go someplace where I wasn't wanted, and that's how a lot of countries make me feel, whether that's their intention or not. So I do feel very fortunate to be Canadian, and we have made lots of strides, and I would be ungrateful to say otherwise, but to suggest that there still isn't struggle is also.
And you still do have to overcome individual beliefs. There still is a lot of hateful comments, prejudicial comments made against gays and lesbians. The field that I'm in the political world, you know, I've been an elected politician. I've run for office, and hurtful, discriminatory comments are made, and actions are taken against you because of your sexual orientation. But it is when you face these situations, it is reassuring to know that in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of the society that you're living in, that you do have protections.
Right, and it's partially because of the fact that same-sex marriage has been legalized and the relationship has been legitimized, that you are able to run. And it's one of the reasons why I, as a teacher, am able to actually address the bullying that goes on, whereas in other parts of the world, it would just be ignored altogether.
But I have no doubt that in a place like New Zealand, that gay marriage will be legally recognized at some point in the not too distant future. I'm hopeful of that. I am.
Well, I think that the fact that they already have civil unions
Major step.
is a major step and shows that they're on the road to marriage.
It's a sign of a mature, tolerant
Mm-hmm.
society where you're free to be whomever, whatever you wish to be, I think New Zealand is on the right path, and with some good fortune, and again, still lots of struggles to be had. I think at some point in the future we'll have a planet where all gays and lesbians will have that ability to be legally married, whether they live in Canada, New Zealand, or someplace else.
I think it was a great article to read, because I didn't know that about New Zealand, and I just assumed that it was same-sex marriage. But it's good to know. Well, it's good to know that it's an issue there, and hopefully it does become more prominent in the news, because I think getting the message out there is how these issues kind of arise and how they can hopefully get solved as well. So,
Okay.
awesome.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.